Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach. This is my little internet show about whitewater things. And in this episode, I want to talk about the contents of a repair kit. When you buy a raft, they give you a little repair kit with the raft. And a lot of stuff that is in here isn't really useful for field repairs. And there's things you should probably add. So I wouldn't just trust them. Take this with you and clip it on every time. You need to accentuate this. You need to go through and understand the contents. The air repair kit looks like this. Air is different because they have needle and thread and things. I'm not talking about air. I'm talking about basically boats that don't have zippers. You know, Sotars and Ravias and Wings and all that. They give you this little bag. And the first thing I would do is not use this bag. It looks like a dry bag. It smells like a dry bag. It feels like a dry bag. It's probably not a dry bag. It's probably like a semi-dry bag. They don't give you the top of the line bag with this, right? They just give you a bag that holds the stuff. So if you just take this, and there's typically just like one clip and clip this to your boat, it's probably not going to keep the contents dry if you flip, and it's held on by this plastic buckle. So if this breaks, you lose your repair kit. So I would take this stuff and I would put it somewhere else. Maybe combine it with first aid, maybe combine it with safety kit, maybe find a little ammo kit. I don't know. But I would do better than this bag, something that keeps it more dry and also is easy to rig in your boat in like a responsible manner. So that's the bag. I'm not a big fan of these little bags, but whatever. And let's just go into what they typically give you. Every company gives you slightly different things, but this is pretty standard what's in this one. First of all, sandpaper. You'll need some 80 grit sandpaper. That's a nice amount. A brush, a little 1/2-inch brush. That's kind of nice. You'll need brushes. Repair material. You'll definitely need that. And the repair material matches your boat, the type of material you have in your boat. So if you have a urethane boat, you need urethane material. If you have a Hypalon boat, you need Hypalon material. So you definitely want to have the right material and ideally color. Another brush. That's nice to have, a couple brushes. This is a pressure gauge. You probably don't need this. So if it was me, I would just remove the pressure gauge. You're not going to need that. And what else do we have in here? We have lots of paperwork. And this is like it turns out these are manuals for the boats. There's material safety, data sheets. You know, if you need to start a fire, this stuff might be really good. Typically, there's one page in here with instructions. So I would take this out. I would find that one page and maybe laminate it because you don't want that to get wet. Let's say your bag this all got wet. You wouldn't have the instructions with you. It's really nice to have instructions. So throw most of this away, unless you need to start a fire on a trip, then bring this and then burn most of it. But this is a lot of excessive stuff. And then next is the glue. And the glue is typically in a box, and so you don't need to carry the box with you all the time. So the first thing I would do is just empty this box. And look, turns out there's packaging peanuts in here, so you can get rid of the packaging peanuts. And there's some things you do need in here. One of them is the glue. If it's a 2-part glue, there's 2 parts. This is something that you can use to measure the glue, a little, whatever these are called. And then there's also, looks like more instructions for how to do the gluing. Yeah, this is great. This is actually really good instructions. So I would just get rid of all of this and just laminate this and bring it with you. So you can get rid of the cardboard box and get rid of a lot of this stuff. And this is some important stuff. This is a lot of the stuff you need. I don't need all these packing peanuts. This is kind of a bit much. This is most of what you need to do repair. But there's some important things missing, I feel. The first thing is scissors. When you go to cut your patch, you want to cut nice, even, like you don't want squared off edges. It'll grab something and come off. So you want to have a nice, like the corners be rounded. So you need some really good scissors. So I would throw scissors in there myself. In my first aid kit, I carry this really cool Leatherman set of trauma shears. It has all kinds of handy dandy stuff on it. These are expensive, but they're really cool and they like fold up nicely. So I'll put a link down in the show notes if you want to buy some of these. These stay in my first aid kit, but when I need to do a repair, I pull these out. And these things cut fabric really well. So I'm a fan of these things. You need a pen. Or I bring a Sharpie, or you can bring just a regular pen. I think I had a pen here. Because you need to draw where your patch is going to go around on the fabric so that you can know where to put the glue, right? And then put the patch later on. So you need some sort of pen. So you want to throw a pen in there. You'll also need probably bigger brushes. These little brushes are for doing little repairs at the shop. But usually when you're doing a repair in the field, it's a bigger repair and you're laying a lot of glue. So I would have some 1/2-inch brushes and maybe even this is 2.5, 2.25 for just those big monster repairs. These aren't going to lay glue perfectly, but they're going to lay glue really well. And you know, when you're it's nice to have scissors because you don't want this big fluffy thing right here when you're doing a repair. You want to cut this down. So I'll have scissors with me so I can cut this brush down and make it a little bit more firm. It's a little easier, I don't know if you can see there, but every time I glue, I cut it down to like about that at an angle so the glue goes on really nice. So another good reason to have scissors with you. But I bring some bigger brushes because you're usually in the field of doing big projects. You're not doing precision here. Then I would bring some gloves. Between the glue and the solvent are pretty nasty. These are things you don't want to touch, and you almost can't avoid touching them in a lot of ways. So having some gloves with you is key. You may even want to bring a respirator. It's bulky. It's up to you how you feel about your personal health. Speaking of the solvent, you need a solvent. For urethane and PVC, it's typically MEK, although acetone works. For Hypalon, it's toluene. It's nasty stuff. And the solvent is used to clean it before you do the patch. And it's a pretty important step. And so this kit didn't have the MEK. I actually need to go out and buy it to add it to this. And you need a container. You might want a good possibility is a flask, but you don't want to have any chance anybody drinks this. So I would draw like right on here, skull and crossbones, do not drink, MEK will kill you. You definitely don't want somebody to accidentally take a shot of that stuff, but some sort of container that's bomber. A lot of times when MEK comes in these kits, they're in kind of flimsy plastic bottles, and I've seen those bottles break in the kit because they're crushed in that dry bag. After 5-10 years, it eventually break, and having this MEK stuff all over your things is bad. It's pretty nasty. So I would try to find a small container that's pretty bomber to put your solvent, and like MEK is a typical one, in here. And you're going to need some sort of cotton. I got these at Ace Hardware today. This is just really nice cotton shirts, like clean. You want something that the MEK can go on to wipe it off. You can take your own t-shirt out of your dry bag, but that might be dirty. Or you can find some other cotton, or just get a couple of pieces of cotton like this, throw it in, so you can quickly go from here on the cotton, pour the MEK on, have the cotton, and put it on the boat and on the patch. But again, this is where you want to wear gloves. This is why the gloves are important. So those are some things I would add. I also, when you're done, you need to like kind of press the air bubbles out of the patch. And so you can use, the back of your scissors. When I have channel locks with me, I'll use a channel locks to push it. You don't need a roller. A lot of people say to have a roller with you. I wouldn't worry too much about the roller. But I would, beyond the repair stuff, and this is most of it. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. When you are using 2-part glue, you need a couple things too. You need a place to mix them. So you need some sort of cup, and you need a mixer. And so it's important when you're mixing glue that you don't add dirt to it. So what I'll do sometimes is just sacrifice my own coffee cup. Say, hey, my coffee cup is now the mixer, and I end up throwing it away. But I clean it really well first. But you may want to have a cup in your kit ready to go to if you don't want to sacrifice your cup. Or it's just something, if it's a day trip and you don't have a coffee cup, you need something to mix glue in. And so even just like a little tiny Dixie cup or something ready to go is important. And a little something to mix it with. You can't, if you just grab a stick off the ground, you could be putting dirt in the glue, which could cause problems. So I would have like a little tongue depressor or coffee cream stirrers in there or something. You definitely, if your glue is 2-part, you need somewhere to mix it, and those are important things to add as well. And then finally, a couple of just additional things that aren't in this repair kit. I just feel like everybody should have duct tape, pretty straightforward stuff. You could do some patches with duct tape if you had to. Another boat repair, so having good duct tape is important. And really key to me is Terraid. Terraid is modern stuff. There's type A and type B. This is basically just a sticker you can stick over patches. So I would say any tear in the boat up to 1 inch, maybe 2, maybe 3, you could just quickly do a Terraid and not even deal with all this stuff, because this creates headaches. When you do a field repair with glue, you're going to be there for an hour or two. And when you get home, you're probably going to pull that patch off, clean all the glue off, and repatch it anyway, because your field repair probably won't hold. So Terraid is great because it'll get you down the river. And there's 2 types, type A and type B. Type A is for almost everything. Type B is for PVC, so you should make sure you have the right kind, or just bring both. It's nice to have both in case your friend's boat pops, so you have something for that. So that's a quick, that's what I would do with my repair kits. I would go through them, inventory what's in there, take some stuff out that's not necessary, add some things in, and also when you're doing this, think about your friends, right? Like, you may be the only one of the repair kits, and maybe your friends have PVC boats and you don't. So maybe consider bringing the glue needed for that or whatever, maybe to help your friends. Or one last thing is glue expires. This one expires March 2021. It's going to expire next spring. Look at your expiration dates. You may need to change your glue every few years, and your accelerator, your second part of the glue. So a lot of information. Hope this helped. If a lot of you have experience with this stuff, and you may have some really cool suggestions like add this, add that. This really saved the day for me. Anything anybody has to add, please add in the comments below. And yeah, see you next time. Thanks.